Many years ago, products like this were very common, mainly because certainly in the UK, none of the appliances had plugs on them. They just came with bare wires and it was your responsibility to put plugs on. So when you're testing something, you needed a device like this on your workbench. And in fact, even today, I think they're irreplaceable, because if you've just got something that you're experimenting with and you don't want to put a plug on it, one of these things is ideal. Now this one's called a Kinector. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, but I had one of these some 30 odd years ago, and I'm sad to say that I don't think they're available anymore. I've had a quick look on the internet, and it's gone the way of many a good product. This one was by far the best on the market, and what happened, this back flap would pull back and the power would go off. When you pulled that forward, it would apply power, and this red neon, long before LEDs, would light up. And to connect the wire, you pushed here like a piano key, and this lifted here, and you stuffed the wire in there. And incidentally, you couldn't take the wire out or mess with it while this was closed, so completely safe. This is the current version of things, and this is where I bought the product. It comes from a company in the United Kingdom called A1 Electrics, and I cannot fault the service from this supplier. Now, I'm based in New Zealand, and to the best of my knowledge, these are not available in New Zealand. Normally, buying things from the United Kingdom for shipment anywhere in the world is largely prohibitive, because the postal charges, unlike China, is ludicrous. But this I thought was a realistic price. It cost me $53.87, that's New Zealand dollars, and a very realistic postal charge of $3.76. Now obviously if you're going to another country or something, this could well be different. Whilst I would recommend this, I would only recommend it because you can't get the original one that I've previously shown you. This has, I won't say design flaws, but it could be so much better. For example, let's open it. Here we have the switch contacts which go into these slots here and switch the power on. Now it comes with standard 13 amps. I would recommend you replace that with a 5 amp. Now I have to say that these comments are all based on Europe. I'll talk a bit in a minute about if you're going to use it in countries like America or any of the 110, 120 volt countries. So closing the trap, applies power here, and this is a little neon. Now to me that is asking to be broken off. There's a neon in there with a little plastic case, and I think that is a ludicrous place to put it. The original one that I showed you was shown here, which is a much better place to put it. And the other issue is it's on all the time that the plug is plugged in. So you might think it's powered up, and it isn't. And actually powering it up doesn't make any difference. You can see the neon through the hole here, just about. But if you're off access, you can't see it at all. So that's the biggest design flaw. That is very vulnerable there, and it would be much better placed there. Now if you're going to use this in a permanent position, I would suggest you mount it. There are mounting screws here and at the back there, because otherwise when you lift it up, bearing in mind there's wires going in here, you've got to hold it there, and it's actually quite stiff to open. The original design that I showed you, where the flap at the back applies power, is far superior to this. Anyway, that's my beef about the product. But saying that, it does work, and to my knowledge, it's the only such product still available. And the fact that it's made in England is absolutely staggering, because I didn't think anything was made in England anymore. Here we have a transformer, and we're going to connect it to the test bench, and normally you'd have to put a plug on it. So here we have bare wires. As it's AC, it doesn't strictly matter which way round you put it, but we will put it in the right one. And you just clip it under there, and when you power up, that will now be applying power, and it's fairly safe that you can't really get your fingers in there. You just have to be careful really that you don't have loads of spare wires sticking out, otherwise I should think it is possible to get a belt from it, but I've never had one, put it like that. At the back of the unit there's a cutout here, and the base comes off with those 4 screws, and the wires go inside onto little terminals in there. Now I purchased mine without cable because by standard they would come with a UK plug, which is of little use to me in New Zealand, so I just bought a little lead with a moulded plug on it to fit into New Zealand, or this would also fit Australia's power. Right, I've plugged it into the mains now, and when I turn the power on, the neon glows quite nicely, but it's on even though there is no power coming out. And this is in my opinion wrong. This LED, so used to saying LED instead of neon, this neon is connected permanently across the supply, so powering it up, you can see what I mean about being off center. You can't actually see the LED, here I go again, the neon actually on. I think we just call it a lamp in future. So now that's live, and power would be coming out of there. Now I did mention earlier that I would have a quick chat about using this overseas. Well, when I say overseas, I mean in a country that has 110 or 120 volts. As this stands, you could use it on 110 volts, but the chances are the neon wouldn't light, and there's no easy access to it, because all you'd have to do, normally a neon strikes at about 90 volts AC, or this type certainly does, and you would have for the UK something like a 200, 250, 240k resistor in series to get that kind of voltage. Now obviously if you're going to use it in America, you have half that voltage, so you would have half that resistance approximately. But as you can't get access to that, that's a minus side of it. Is it as good as the one I showed you on the photograph? No, it's not. But you've got no choice. Time moves on, products become discontinued and not available, so we should be just really pleased that you can at least get that in the United Kingdom, and at least you can buy them through eBay. This came through eBay, so came very quickly, good company, proper invoice, can't fault the supply company at all. But if the manufacturers ever get to watch this video, have a look at the design of the product. It's okay as it is, but it could be infinitely better with a couple of very minor changes.